So then we are back with the more understandings from the Renewed Covenant from the Aramaic English translation of the word. This is from the original documents of the Hebrews of old, indicating what's coming in the future. And then we can understand the prophecies layered. However, there is a situation going on with the existing political problems of our country and also the other countries. Though we understand Iran is involved with some sort of enrichment of nuclear material, and it does not mean they have the weapon. We must be very cautious, because as we had then previously a war against Saddam, and we could not find any weapons as we thought the country had, so we must be very concise and take these in consideration, because they might not have any weapons over there. So though there is a desire of invasion, we should refrain from it and work another way, and having them come to United Nations along with the other nations, and then try to come up with a resolution of the problem. Because from the original manuscripts we can't deny a factor of the Chinese being the leaders of the world's market. So this part of the entire system is not yet completed. It's not, because time of a restoration, the cities of God are not known yet. In Yeshayahu, the 61st chapter, it states very plainly a factor that even the heathens would observe His mighty works. Have we observed any mighty works from Yahweh? Some people don't even know His name. So it's not the time yet. Absolutely not the time. If we do this, and if you invade, and if we as a nation invade then Iran, then we're going to have a whole lot more expenses, and it won't work. Because not only then we are going to be involved in a situation of invasion, but then we have to monitor, and we don't have any more economy to do this. However, they can use wisely what Chinese is coming then with a huge military, and we can ask them to do more patrols, while then we retreat for rebuilding. Because the factor comes from Yeshayahu, the 61st chapter. And then the heathen would perceive His mighty works. And the world doesn't even know His name, mostly. So this idea of then striking Iran is going to work against us. We must not do it. We must wait and be wise. We must wait for a bit, and then invite those leaders, and then having a talk at UN. It's not the time of having then a strike against a country without having the proper number of nations coming together and then finding a solution for it. Obviously, it's through trade. The trade must take over. We must hold our nerves as we used to do in the past. Striking against Iran is extremely dangerous. And then we are not going to have enough to cover the war. And that's precisely when then the Chinese, they want to have us go forward and do it, because then we're going to ruin further our economy. Because they are waiting for our economy to fail so they can launch their system. So why then going so far, whereas we can retrieve wisely and let them take over some of the patrols? This would be the proper path. Because scripture-wise, soundly, from Yeshayahu states, the heathen, they don't even know His mighty works. So it's not the time yet. Not for a long time. Even if the existing president stays or then the other then becomes president, either of them, they have to work through and not go to war. They have to refrain. But then wisely having the Chinese then begin to do the patrol, so then we can rebuild. In any way you evaluate, it's not the time. If they are thinking striking and bombs and atomic blast and blah blah blah, it's not the time. Simply not the time. Let's not be the king of Babylon making an entire statue of gold. Did it work? He had the power to do it, and he did. Did it work? No, he did not. We must refrain ourselves from any kind of a strike because it's going to work against us. We don't have the economy to do this. We're going to ruin ourselves further. So we then observe then what the Chinese people they are doing, plus Great Britain. They are wisely working through their agencies and they are cleaning up their system, leaning up. And we should then observe both countries and do what they are doing. Because there is no advantage of Iran having a strike, and then what are the people going to do? They have neighbors already at war. It would be chaos for themselves, so it doesn't make any sense. It truly doesn't make any sense. It's not the time yet. So the best is working, have our minds selected, and then invite the president of Iran for a talk. Make sure then inspectors, if he lets, go over there and then verify what's going on. And then ask more details. Okay, you are producing electricity. What kind of generators do you have? What are the power lines? Because the Chinese are coming and they are having building materials, so then the nation can rebuild. There's a high inflation over there in the country, so then people can rebuild their country. And if perhaps then Iran wants a nuclear weapon, so what is the deal? Other countries, they have nuclear weapons. Is he going to use? No, he's not going to use. It's not the time for it. So either way, any invasion is extremely unwise and very dangerous, and for no reason. And the problem with the strike, they have over there those specialized army suicide kamikaze groups. And they don't think twice if their nation then is under ruin. So it is truly unwise. We should refrain from it and remain composed and try to remind ourselves what we did before then Pearl Harbor. How were we acting back then? We were avoiding, and we can do this by having the Chinese being our shield then. They can start going over there and then doing more patrols. As they do it, then we are indicating we want more trade. We have to refrain ourselves from war. It's not the time. It's time of rebuilding. If we ask the Chinese to help us do the patrols over there, we are indicating we want more trade. Then sends a signal to the other nations over there at war that we mean trade. We want trade, and then we ask the Chinese government and their armies and their navy to do patrols for us, indicating we are then encouraging trade amongst those troublesome nations. And as far as Iran, we have to invite them for a talk. There is no other option. And if they want to have a nuclear weapon, then we have to try to come up with a compromise. Other countries, they have weapons, why they can't? For what reason? We have to explain it. But then prior of coming and having a conversation, then the Chinese is on their way doing patrols. Then we're indicating we want to then trade. We are not interested in religion and wars and such. We want trade. So while then they move in, we then gradual understanding, and then we remove our military from there. Then we indicate we want trade. Please stay tuned, much more coming up.